Hi everyone, I'm Nick with Burnley and Trowbridge, and you're joining us today for a tutorial on 18th century wig bags, or as they're also known in the period, hair bags. In the 18th century, formal men's hairstyles often included a black silk bag worn at the back of the neck. This bag held the hair of the man's queue, or was used to extend the length of a wig with minimal use of hair. These bags could be worn as part of a wig or with one's natural hair. The bags were usually made of silk and were often trimmed with elaborate bows, ribbons, or rosettes, depending on the time in which the bag was made. Most bags were all black, just like 18th century men's hats. There are some references to bags of other colors, but those seem to be exceptions to the general style. For most living history and reenacting purposes, black silk is a good choice. The hair bag we'll be making in this video is based on one in the Mount Vernon collection and would be suitable for many post-1750 contexts. The example piece is object number W2976 in the Mount Vernon collection and is dated to 1785 to 1800. It's a rectangular black silk bag lined with linen and partially interlined with a padded material. The top of the bag is folded to the inside to form a drawstring casing. The bag is decorated with a large multi-looped silk bow at the top. The dimensions of the Mount Vernon hair bag are about 11 by 7 inches. Our example will be slightly smaller than the Mount Vernon bag and somewhat simplified in construction. It will be about 9 inches long by 5 inches wide when finished and will not include the padded interlining material. Now let's talk about materials. You'll need a body fabric, a lining material, and ribbon to trim the finished bag. To make the body, you'll need a heavier silk fabric with some body to it, like a heavyweight taffeta or a ribbed silk. For the lining fabric, a medium weight, plain linen will do. Natural or unbleached linen seems to have been common for lining hair bags. You'll also need about 18 inches of narrow silk ribbon for the drawstring. I'll be using a 1/4 inch satin ribbon, but a 1/2 inch ribbon would also work. For the ribbon to trim the bag, a 1 inch wide or wider silk satin ribbon is a good choice, though wide taffeta ribbon can also be used. Again, you'll need a ribbon with some body. The finished bow should be able to hold its shape easily. If you're using a ribbon that's very soft or floppy, you might want to stiffen it with a little gum tragacanth or a commercial fabric stiffener. You'll also need some black silk sewing thread, a bodkin for threading your drawstrings, and all the usual pins, needles, and other sewing tools. To assemble the bag, first cut a 19 inch by 5 1/4 inch rectangle out of your black body silk. This includes a 1/4 inch seam allowance all around. Next, cut a slightly smaller rectangle out of your linen lining material, about 18 3/4 inches by 5 inches. You want the lining to be a little smaller so it sits inside the bag comfortably. To make the bag, fold the outer fabric in half with right sides together. Using a spaced back stitch, seam the sides closed using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Stop this seam about 2 inches down from the top on both sides. Don't sew all the way up to the top. Now turn the body piece right side out and lightly press the stitched edges. Turn the unfinished top edges to the inside about 1/8 of an inch and press. Next, assemble the lining. Again, take the rectangle, fold it in half and seam up the sides, stopping about 2 inches down from the top on both sides. Leave the lining with the seam allowances on the outside and turn the top of the unfinished edges to the outside. This will be the reverse of the black silk bag because the linen will nest inside the silk bag. Now we'll put the outer bag and the lining together. Place the linen lining bag inside the silk bag, wrong sides together. The lining should not bunch up at the bottom or the sides. If it does, you might need to trim the lining seam allowance. Make sure the press tops of both bags are aligned with each other and the bottom of the 2-inch gaps at the sides meet neatly. Next, pin the pressed edges of the body silk and the lining together. Don't pin the top of the bag shut. You'll be sewing the lining to the body silk on both the front and the back panels of the bag independently. Now use a felling stitch or a fine running stitch to stitch the lining to the black silk. Finally, remove the pins and make sure there are no gaps in the seams and everything lies fairly flat. Now we'll make the casing for the drawstring. Fold the tops of both panels to the inside of the bag about 1/2 inch and press. Now use a fine felling stitch from the inside to attach the free edge of the folded piece through the lining and into the body fabric on both panels. That will give you a casing on both the front and the back panels. Next, thread your drawstring through the casings with a bodkin. You can either have a single drawstring that loops back on itself, or independent drawstrings for the front and back that tie on the sides. Try it out. When the drawstring is pulled, the top should cinch shut neatly. If there are any issues, go ahead and fix them now. To finish the bag, we need to add some trim to the back. Most examples are trimmed with black ribbon bows, or rosettes, or some combination of those elements. The type of trim is based on the fashion of the time when a bag was made, so do some research to find period examples to inform your specific project. There's a lot of variety in paintings and the few extant examples, so please let us know if you come across something new or unusual in your research. Our bag will be trimmed with a simple 3-loop bow and a trailing ribbon, a style which would be appropriate for multiple time periods. For the bow, you will need 2 10-inch pieces of 1-inch wide ribbon and a 9-inch piece of the same width. You'll also need a piece of matching 1/2-inch ribbon about 9 inches long. Take your 3 pieces of 1-inch wide ribbon and overlap the ends of all 3 by 1/4 inch to form 3 loops. Stitch each one with a fine running stitch. You should have 2 longer loops and 1 shorter. Now take each loop and run a gathering stitch across their middle. Cinch it up, but not all the way, and tie off the thread. Now take the 2 longer loops and lay them across one another to make a flat X shape. Stitch them together at the center through all layers. Take your remaining loop and place it across the middle of the X. Again, take a few stitches through all the layers to attach them. Now take your 1/2-inch ribbon and neatly loop it around the center of all 3 stacked loops. Carefully tie it tightly at the back, manipulating the fullness of the bow loops as you do so to keep things looking nice. Once it's tied, take a few stitches through the knot into the looped ribbons to secure it. You can either cut off the excess ribbon ends or arrange them so they fall nicely below the bow. To attach the finished bow to the bag, open the top and place the center of the bow on the center back, a little below the drawstring casing. Now take a few stitches from the inside of the bag into the bow to secure it. Don't stitch too far from the center line or the bow might crinkle up when the bag is tied. There you go, now you have a finished 18th century style hair bag. It can be used to style a wig or to hold the queue of a person's natural hair. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on 18th century hair bags. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you find our videos helpful, and until next time, happy sewing!